G'day everybody, welcome back to another Rosh Reviews, where today we are in a 2014 FG Mark II EcoLPi XR6. And I know a lot of you guys on the channel have been asking for, an LPI, LPG gas Falcon here. We're here in Melbourne, we've found one, and this particular one, it is quite special as well because the paint color, Victory Gold, some of you guys might know, was only offered on the FGX. So this is a one-of-one test vehicle for the FG Mark II here, and it's a really nice color. Now the FG, guys, come out in 2008 and was carried through up until 2014. So this was the last of the FGs. It was the Mark II, and they came out in late 2011 here. So this particular one, again, it was a test vehicle by Ford, and they actually held on to this car, I think, for a little over 9 months before they sold it on, just to see what this paint color was going to do, how it was going to react to the Aussie sun here. And yeah, it was only available in this particular car and the last ever GTF. So I gotta say though, seeing this color, it is nice. I actually really do rate it, and it's a bit of a shame that this was the only one. Now under the bonnet, guys, this of course has the 4-liter straight 6 Barra, and this one is the LPI, so it's running direct injection gas, so LPG here. And there is actually a huge amount of benefits to this thing, and I actually do not know why modern cars are still not running this, because to me it just makes sense. And the savings, at least here in Melbourne, where gas is incredibly cheap, LPG for American viewers here, it's absolutely wild. And this thing, it's still got a decent amount of power here. So we're talking 198 kilowatts of power, about 409 Newton meters. So it's actually slightly more than the petrol XR6, which is surprising to me. And you could only get these ones in the 6-speed ZF, which that's still a good thing. No LSD though. So usually in these XR6s, you could option that in. No option on the LPI. But let's talk about savings here, because to fill up, at least here in Melbourne, going off the owner's testimony here, it's going to cost you about $66 to fill this tank. It's an 88-liter tank, and Ford claims this combined at over 700 kilometers, just over. And from the owner's testimony, this is actually legitimately getting, 650-ish Ks of range combined, so, daily use here. And if you're just hitting the open road, that's really where you're going to see even more savings with this particular car. That's huge. If you had a petrol car and you wanted to just get that kind of return on dollar, you'd have to have something that was going to give you like 5 liters or under per 100 Ks, and that is pretty challenging. Now, price of these things, look, brand new. To get one of these LPIs in the XR6, it was a $4,000 option, so it was actually a little bit more expensive than a base model XR6. So we're looking around that like 43, 44 grand mark. And this is the thing, right? When we don't make these cars anymore, they were actually really cheap to buy new, and they just go forever. You don't need to keep upgrading these things, because you can do 300,000-400,000 kilometers easily in one of them. And it is a real shame, because inside it might not be the latest and greatest here. It's pretty basic on the interior of these Falcons in every generation, but it's just comfortable. It's a nice seating position, and it just works. It does the hard yards. It's cheap to run this one. It just makes sense. And I do not know why other manufacturers are not doing stuff with gas. To me, it doesn't really make sense anymore. I don't know why we've turned away from gas. Because of the greenies that jump up and down when you have a V8 or a turbo, they should have been loving this thing, because it's better on, emissions than a petrol. And you don't got to throw away batteries when they turned 6, 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got to go mining for this thing, and it doesn't make sense that, you know, they're jumping on the Tesla bandwagon here when you had this offering such good value for range, and you don't need to constantly buy one because it'll run forever. So yeah, it absolutely doesn't make any sense. Not to mention you're going to get people employed here, you're building this thing here, you know, parts. You had a whole industry that you could have kept going. Stupid. Now, to get the actual direct injection LPG here, you had to get a Mark II, and it does give you a noticeable difference here because, you know, previously, guys, I did the giveaway AU. That was dedicated LPG, and those have a converter rather than direct injection. And there's definitely a noticeable difference between a petrol and an LPG with that converter because it just does feel a little bit more sluggish. This one, you know, honestly, feels like a standard XR6. Like, really does. And it's going to be quite interesting to see what the 0 to 100 is in this because it might actually be slightly quicker. We're going to find out soon, though. If you guys are enjoying this type of content, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button, click the bell notifications so you do get updated on all my weekly uploads. And guys, you know, weird, cool Australian cars like this, it's the bread and butter of this channel, and it's so awesome to see. And again, it's just a shame we're not making these things because the fundamentals were here, and all Ford really needed to do was just build off this platform again. You know, the interior was really what I think put the nail in the coffin in the FGX range, but if they had just had the availability to make the interior a little bit more modern, you probably would have seen a huge amount of these on the road again, even though there still is a huge amount on the road because they don't die, as you know. And this is the thing, right, because Ford was experimenting with the 2-liter Falcon as well, which I have done a video on. If you haven't seen that, you can click the pop-up banner right here. They had more economical options available later down the track. And it's a shame because all the people were always complaining who didn't buy these were, oh, they're too big, they're too heavy, they're not fuel efficient, they're not modern enough. And Ford just didn't really advertise these things. Like, the fuel economy on this is better than modern cars, like by a lot. So if people just knew that, I think, you know, you probably could have got a lot more people buying these things because, you know, they think they're all V8s, they think they're all not economical, but in reality, these things are better than 90% of the things on the road. And that's another point as well, guys. You know, you could get these LPI gas motors in a ute. So for tradies, you can go get a Hilux, pay $2.20, $2.30 a liter for diesel, or you can pay 80 cents here in Melbourne for gas. Like, it doesn't make any sense that you don't have this. Like, yeah, it drives extremely well too. Alrighty guys, 0 to 100, we are going to test this out. So we're just going to put it in sport mode, turn traction control off, and reset the draggy here. I don't know what these are claimed at, but we're going to find out. So just build up a little bit. And 100. Oh my, man, I gotta say, realistically, it's pretty similar to an XR6 petrol. Like, it's really hard to tell much difference here. But let's have a look what the draggy said and see the results. Now, 0 to 100, guys, was done in 7.2 seconds. I did actually have 2 cracks at it. We do have the owner in the back too. So I think realistically, 7 seconds is about where it's at. If you get a really good run, probably high 6s. But it's comparable to a petrol. You know, I think a petrol XR6 would be slightly quicker than this, but very comparable, guys. And this is it, guys, you know, because if you're trying to buy one of these, you know, as a daily it's comfortable. The fuel savings are huge, and it's still almost just as quick here as a petrol XR6. So yeah, to me, it definitely makes sense to get this thing if you want it as a daily. You know, look, if you're trying to do an XR6 build and you want to make, you know, maybe go the petrol route, but realistically, yeah, this is an awesome car, an amazing daily. And I actually wish my Fairmont Mark II had this motor now, because yeah, I'm definitely paying more than 66 bucks a fill up, and I am definitely not getting 650 Ks of range. But yeah, you gotta love these cars. Now I'm gonna finish the video off here today, guys. So look, a huge thanks to the owner for bringing down his Mark II FG EcoLPi, because this really was an eye-opener, again, to see one of these direct injection ones, because as a daily, this is it. Like, don't even question it. Just, if you want a nice daily that's cheap to run, get this thing. It's reliable, go forever. It's worth the money. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we will see you on that next video.